All right, fifth graders, today we're working on two-step word problems. And I want you guys to notice that these problems, this is the problem set. So you're not going to be doing notes then problem set like we normally do. It's going to be just a little bit different. So we're going to work on modeling some problems and how to just turn them into regular number sentences that we can solve. So, George weeded 1/5 of the garden, and Summer weeded some too. When they were finished, 2/3 of the garden still needed to be weeded. What fraction of the garden did Summer weed? Did we read the problem out loud? Yes. Then what can we draw to model the problem? Well, let's go down to our workspace real quick. So up here, we have 3 different pieces. So we know George weeded 1/5 of the garden. Summer weeded some of the garden. And then 2/3 of the garden still needed to be weeded. So we're going to do a tape diagram. Let's see, it said 2/3 still needed to be weeded, so I'll make it look like it's about 2/3. And we're going to make this green. And we know that this is not weeded. Not weeded. And then we know that here, I'm going to put a G for George and an S for Summer, because that's the part that George weeded and the part that Summer weeded. So let's see, we know that this is all 2/3, and we know that George's is 1/5. So what's this part? Well, we know that this whole thing is 1, that the value of that is 1 for one garden. So if we had 1 minus 2/3 minus 1/5, then we could figure out what part Summer had. So can we subtract thirds and fifths and oneths? No, so we need to turn them all into something. So let's turn them all into 15ths because that agrees. So I know that 1 would be 15/15ths. And I know that 2/3, well, check this out. 2/3, if I want to turn it into 15ths, I have to multiply my 3 by 5 to turn it into 15. And if you do it to the bottom, you better do it to the top. So times 5 up here for 10/15ths. Okay, so I have 15/15ths minus 10/15ths. And then how about 1/5? We're going to do the same thing we did over here. Well, now we're multiplying by 3. Did it to the bottom, got to do it to the top. 3/15ths. And I want to remind you guys, so when I talk about doing it to the bottom, doing it to the top, that means for turning fractions into numbers, into fractions with different denominators. This works when we're turning fractions into a different fraction with the same value. 1/5 and 3/15ths are the same thing. That's the same amount of garden, it's the same amount of pie. So when we're talking about doing it to the bottom, doing it to the top, we have to do the same so that it keeps that same value. That's what that means. So we're trying to find something that has the same value of 2/3 and the same value of 1/5, but we want it in 15ths so it all works better. So let's see, 15/15ths minus 10 minus 3, 2/15ths. All right. That's the only one I'm going to do for you today. But instead of going on the problem set, I want you to solve it on the note page just because it's a little bit more laid out for you. I want to remind you guys, though, real quick before you start. When you're solving a word problem, you always, always, always draw a picture. It can be a model, but you need to draw something so you can visualize it and write the math problem. You need to know what problem you're solving. So the problem that we just solved was written as 1 minus 2/3 minus 1/5 equals. That's the problem we solved. So before you start working on a story problem, you need to do these two things. You need to draw a picture, and you need to write out the math problem. If I don't see those two things, you're not going to get your full points on your assignment. All right, fifth graders, rock it.